In this video, we're going to discuss the concept of dollar value LIFO. So to address the issue of LIFO liquidation, accountants came up with the idea of putting inventory into pools. So for example, they might put product A and product B into a pool together, and they're hoping that if there's a price increase in the product A, that it might be offset by a price decrease in product B. So the more products you have in the pool, the less likely that there's going to be an erosion of a LIFO layer that's going to create serious problems. So the problem with this is that firms are constantly changing up their inventory mix. So they might get rid of product A and say, well, now we're going to offer product C. So now you have to create a new pool, product B and C, but then you get rid of C and now you have to create a new pool. So you're constantly, the accountants are having to redefine pools. And so they came up with this idea of dollar value LIFO, where you basically are putting these items into the pools and you're accounting for them based on their dollar value. So here, instead of thinking of it as the number of units of B or C or how much inventory is in there, you can just assign a dollar value, and that's basically what's controlling the pool instead of just the physical quantity of the goods. And then the more goods that you're going to have in the pool, the less likely that you're going to have LIFO liquidation. You're not constantly having to redefine pools. So let's get into an example. So let's say that you own a company that does dollar value LIFO. And so you need to know several things before you can think about looking at the layers and calculating what the ending inventory is going to be. So I've just laid out the following. So you're going to need to know the ending inventory for each period, and we're looking at a 3-year period here, so 2017 through 2019. Year-end inventory at the end of year prices, right? So end of the year prices, what is the value of the inventory? Now you might think, well, hey, that's pretty simple. What are you talking about? We're just talking about what's the value of the inventory at the end of the year. Well, the thing is that inflation could cause the inventory to raise or increase in value. So let me just, that's a little abstract, so let me explain. So you have $270,000 in ending inventory, end of year prices at the end of 2017, right? Now the next year, 1 year later, you look and you say, we have $330,000 in inventory. Now you might think, well, hey, wait a minute. That means that we just bought an extra $60,000 worth of inventory, because $330,000 minus $270,000 is $60,000. Here's the thing. Inflation might be accounting for some of this increase from $270 to $330. So it might not be that you just have more inventory. It might just be the prices have gone up. So we're going to say ending inventory at end of year prices, and then we're going to account for inflation with a price index. So this could be the consumer price index, any kind of price index. So think of the CPI if that makes it easier for you. And we're going to say we're going to use that price index, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to use that to convert to an ending inventory at base year prices. So let me just show you how that will work. So obviously the first year is the base year, right? This is the year we're benchmarking everything against. So the price index is just going to be 100. And so we're just going to have ending inventory of base year prices is 270,000. It's just the same. So it's like multiplying this, or this 270,000. We're not even changing it because basically this is the base year, right? So 2017 is the base year. What we really want, what we're really interested in is the future periods. So now when we say, okay, in year 2000, or excuse me, in year 2, end of 2018, we take the 330,000 that's at end of year prices, and to back out this, there was a price increase of 10%, right? So the price index is 110. That means the prices went up 10%. We're going to divide the 330,000 by the 110, and that's going to give us $300,000. So that basically means that we really had a $30,000 increase in inventory if we factor out the cost of just the rising prices. If we factor out inflation, we really have, in terms of base year prices, comparing apples to apples, we have $300,000 worth of inventory, whereas we had $270,000 in year 1. Now I'm going to explain how that's going to affect LIFO layers in a moment. Let's just finish this third year here, and let's figure out what this is. So now you should be able to figure this out. We're just going to take the ending inventory at end of year prices, 360,000, and we're going to divide that by this 125. That's just the price index for year 3. Okay, so that's going to give us $288,000. And so now I'm just going to tell you, we're going to walk through basically how the LIFO layers accumulate and end up being eaten into over this period. So, going to have a lot of numbers here, so just hang with me. So in 2017, if we're trying to calculate the end of year inventory, we're going to say, okay, well, what layers do we have? Well, it's the first year, so we only have one layer. We just have the 270,000. So this is actually going to be pretty simple. We're just going to have 270,000, and then we have a price index of 100. So our ending inventory at LIFO cost for that first year is just going to be 270,000. So that's pretty simple, right? Now let's get to where it's a little more complex. So ending inventory 2018, we know at base year prices is 300,000. Where do I get that from? Well, we calculated it up here, right? So that's the ending inventory. Let me make sure you can see that. Ending inventory base year prices for 2018 is 300,000. So we just take that, we move that down here. Now we're going to look at the layers that we're going to have for 2018. And so we're going to have two layers. We're going to have 270,000, which is from 2017. That's right here. But then we also went up 30,000. We had an increase of $30,000. So we're going to have a layer for 2018 of $30,000. Okay, so it's really just that basic. We just said, hey, we had an increase in the ending inventory at base year prices. So when we have an increase in ending inventory at base year prices, like here, that's going to create a layer. So we have an additional layer here. Now, the price index. Now, you might be tempted to say, well, the price index for year 2 is 110. Well, that's correct. But remember, this layer here is from 2017. So that layer is going to come on at 100. And then the second layer from 2018 is going to get the price index from 2018 of 110. And now, if we add those together, we're going to have, and well, maybe I'd make the math, do it over here on the side for you. So we're going to have 270,000. Okay, and then we're going to have 33,000. Now, how did I get that? Well, the 270, we just take the 270,000 and we multiply it by 1. This 100 of the price index, well, I'll make another video on price indexes to make it a little more clear, but just suffice it to say that this is tantamount to multiplying by 1. Now, the second layer, 30,000, this 110 price index means prices went up 10%. So now we multiply the 30,000 by 1.1. Right, which is the same as saying an increase of 10%. So that gives us 33,000. Now we add these two numbers together, and that's going to give us an ending inventory for year 2, 2018, of $303,000. That's what our and that's just these two added together right here. So okay, now 2019. Let's look up here and see, are we going to have another layer added? Here we added a layer because our ending inventory at base year prices went up. So we added a layer. But here we see that we go down. We go down 12,000. I'm going to put it in parentheses so you know it's a negative, right? So we went down $12,000. So we're not going to be adding a layer now. Now we're going to be eating into a layer. So let's look at 2019. And we again just take this 288,000, that's just from right up here, ending inventory at base year prices. And now, in terms of our layers, let me get back to we're going to have 2017. Since we're using LIFO, the last in, first out, right? So the most recent goods are going to be the ones that come out, that most recent layer. So this layer, the 2017 one, isn't going to be touched. It's still at 270,000. But for 2018, that layer, we're going to reduce it by $12,000, right? We came down, we ate into $12,000 of a layer. What was the layer before? 2018 layer came on at 30,000 last year. So now we take 30,000 minus 12,000, right? So just take this 30,000 minus this 12,000. That's going to give us $18,000. So just put in the 18,000, and that's our layer, right? So there's our new layer. So our layer from 2018 has decreased. And now we just go back to our price index. We have a different price index as usual for each one. Now remember, it's the price index of the year in question. So this was 2018, this layer, for example, and that's going to be the price index of 110, right? We're concerned with the price index for the year that the layer came on. Now, in terms of our ending inventory, we just take this 270,000 times 1, right? And then we're going to take the 18,000 times 1.1, right? So now that's going to give us $289,800. So that is just, and let me just make it in purple here so you can really see what that is. So that's going to be the 270,000 plus 19,800. So the 19,800 is just this 18,000 times 1.1. So just bear in mind now, so now we know our ending inventory at LIFO cost for each of these periods, but bear in mind that if once you completely erode a layer, that layer, when it goes to zero, it can never come back. So if we, for example, this layer here from 2018 of 18,000, we ate into it of 12,000 of the initial 30,000, right? So, but there's still 18,000 left. So next year we'll still have that layer there. But if you were to eat into this layer all the way and bring it down to zero, right? So if instead of 12,000 we had come down at like something high, you know, we had 30,000, we ate away the entire layer, then that layer is gone. So then it's gone for good. It's not, you can't rebuild it and it can't come back. So you're just left with whatever layers haven't been completely eaten into.